without the power of God behind everything I do, I really am completely inadequate.
I'm helping the culture. These guys are part of us as well. You know, these guys are our cousin. I'm helping the culture. I'm pushing the culture forward in another way.
Hey, black child, be what you can be, learn what you must learn, do what you can do, and tomorrow.
What do you do after you read? What do you do after you know all, right? And you can say that you're truly conscious. How are you putting what you know into action?
This is the Initiative radio show, shifting the paradigm through conversation on any and everything relating to our communities and culture. Now introducing your new girl, Jasmine Renee.
Okay, that's why he's calling me. So they didn't hear anything that I just said.
Wow. Well, take two.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I figured that because Keith called me and I looked at the screen. Anyways, I just said, this is your girl, Jasmine Renee. And we are in the studio. Once again, this happens like once every few months. We're in the studio. At the Good News radio station. And I was just saying that I'm pretty sure there aren't a lot of community things going on, but it is Christmas and stuff. And I was just saying enjoy time out. And if being around your family is toxic, then don't be around your family. Do something that is, good for you. Do something that is bringing light. So if you need to be outside or if you do, need to do anything, just go and just experience something different, basically. The comments are already going up. I know it was on mute. It was only for a minute, maybe 2 minutes, because the intro's a minute, 2 minutes. Yeah, I figured when you called, I looked. So thanks. Shout out to Keith, the master mind behind the Good News, for always looking out for us. But yeah, and hey, Jackie. What's up, Deja, Iman? You guys are all showing love. Jackie said she did the same thing last night, so I do not feel alone. But yeah, so we're going to hop right into the show. We have 4 amazing black women.
Yes. We're here.
They're all, community stuff. I'm pretty sure I've brought up every one of them on the show just about what they're doing and just have dropped, X, Y, and Z is doing this or so-and-so is doing this. But it's cool to have them in the studio, and they're definitely a part of the community that I speak of those of us that are trying to make a difference and stuff. They're definitely a part of that community. So I've reached out to people that I felt like were big names and stuff, and some of them have came into the studio, and some have not, but I basically vowed to myself, I'm not reaching out to anybody that is not in my community of people. I'm not reaching out to people that I don't personally like.
Yeah.
It was all I was like, hey, anybody want to come on the show? And all of you guys like personally reached out to me. So I'm like, I'm done reaching out to anybody. I don't care who wants to get on the show. If you're not here, where these are conversations where I know that you guys are going to share these conversations with people, and it's going to be something that's like beneficial to the community, I was just like, no, I don't care who it is. This is what I'm doing. So that's something a few months ago, like I just vowed to myself, when I'm doing work to help community. I don't really care about who's, around. So we can introduce everybody. Ray. Ray is not a stranger to the good news. Hello. You are starting. Please forgive me because I feel like I'm going to mess up the name of the photo booth. It's Candidly.
Yeah, the Candid Experience.
Okay, the Candid Experience. Yes. So she was actually at the after party, the Hub Radio threw after the Christmas parade that was through by the city of Compton, and she had her thing up, but she was doing work for us, and she went to start her own business, which is what it's all about. So I'm really happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I love listening to your show.
Oh,
and just
thank you.
And I
Thank
just
you.
love the station in general. So
yes.
all of you guys, I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. And we have Blacks Genesis in the
Hey,
building.
girl. I'm here.
I've been trying to get Blacks on the show for a minute, but I'm glad we could finally, make things happen. But just an amazing poet. I think I met you maybe sometime this year. Was it this or last year?
It could have been last year. Time flies.
Yeah, it does fly. It's we definitely, in the same way when Kamari was in the studio a few weeks ago, and I was like, I don't see Kamari as much, but we have so many different intense conversations through our Instagram DMs, and it's the same thing with Blacks. Blacks is a church girl. I was born and raised in the church, so and she talking about whatever, right. So I'm like, she'll be talking about some real stuff in the church, and then she'll sit up here and say something, and I'm like, anytime we put up, whether it's like a scripture or something or whatever, and I think it was something which it was really funny. It was something like I'm gonna butcher it, but it was something like I guess the guy was sleeping and the girl was texting him or something, and she was like, the sleep is for the weary, telling him, you guys aren't gonna understand on the other side, but I think I remember. I forgot what the actual words were, but she was basically telling him sleep is for the wicked or something like that, or the wicked don't get sleep or something, and she was telling basically a trash dude. So it was just hilarious, but Blacks was definitely one of the ones that caught that
because it's scripture,
right? It is scripture.
Only ones that know the knowledge is the ones who read the knowledge,
right. So it was just one of those those are things that we definitely comment on, and then even if it's something that's just going on in the community or something that's just crazy, I can definitely count on Blacks to hit me,
because I got a comment for everything.
Yeah,
girl.
Yeah.
Look, I know I got a comment for
everything. Right. Thank you definitely for coming on, and then
I'm happy.
Yes, ma'am.
Queen T,
that girl behind the scenes.
Yes, that girl of the Hub Radio and everything else that you have going on. She's just
all over the place.
Yes, all over the place. Has your hand in everything, but then it's when you see you, you're just yeah, what's up?
Exactly.
What you doing?
Easy call.
Yeah. So I definitely appreciate T for coming in.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's always love when I see T, and it's never even on a business thing. It's always just a very personal relationship, and I'm I know we can all attest to that, being in our community of Spotlight and people that are knowing us. There's a lot of relationships that we have with people that aren't very personal. It's just, I know your work and I know what you do and you're so dope and you're so this, and it's no, to actually just be able to go and sit down. Whenever I see you, it's just hey T, whatever, and we can sit and have a conversation about whatever. And that it just stays here.
Right.
So I'm I definitely appreciate you being in the studio, just being a part, because I have a team here. And then we have the team at the Hub Radio. Right. So, just to have these backings for me is definitely, help, just to have people that can call, yo, I think I'm tripping, or X, Y, and Z is happening, what should I do, or whatever. Just to have those people that, will give, it stays there and they give you what you need and you move on. And then when the next thing happens, you could call them again.
That's it.
T is definitely one of those people for me. And she's, like I said, I can't even list the things that T is doing. But when I tell you she shows up and she's a diehard person for the community, she's just I don't think I've seen anybody that just shows up like you do, that knows people, that has connections the way that you do. So
I appreciate that.
Yes,
I appreciate that.
Happy.
But let's talk about you. Why I think you're so awesome. I've never met someone your age and so confident within yourself, and you really and you know yourself, and she speaks her truth all the time, you know, without a filter. Yeah, deal with that shit or don't.
Oh, we can cuss. Oh, I'm on. What did you do?
No, I'm just and I appreciate you, because when I was your age, I thought I couldn't speak. I was shy. I couldn't say it. If I tell you how I feel, you know, I was worried about it. But I love the fact that you're free to do that. Every time,
I like that word.
I like her in her element, because when she go, I'm like, yeah.
Thank you, T. Yeah, I mean, and it's not easy. You know, it's definitely not easy. And you get from people like you guys. You know, I see you guys post all the time, and you're like, oh, you know, Lai's doing this, or T is doing that, or whatever. Or hearing you speak, and Black's like hearing you drop your poems and stuff, and then seeing you actually pushing your movement. It's like, oh, if this is my circle, there's no time for me to step back. If this is the people that are like I'm looking at, there's no time. And there's plenty of more people. So it's like every time you looking on the snap, somebody's winning something. We're not all winning all the time, but somebody's winning. It's like, okay, all right, let me get back to my stuff. So it's definitely like a credit to definitely the people that are around me.
Can I just say something about that? Because I was literally just talking to Frey about this the other day, about how we can't take a seat back because other people, you see other people doing it, and you like, oh my God, I can't rest. La, I mean, it's no secret that is my favorite poet, but when I see her post whatever she posts, I'm just like, that's why I can't take a step back, because she not taking a step back, so I'm not about to say, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where you do need people to encourage you without them even knowing that they're encouraging you, and knowing that without them even knowing that they're being watched. Right. Because we are definitely being watched.
We are definitely
people that
being
you think
watched.
aren't watching are really watching.
And there's people, you know, it's levels to it. There's people that are watching all over the place. But bringing up La's back, you were here, but like 2 months ago, maybe? Yeah. So La's back. You went to New York and got all of that. Hey.
That was fun. Good old time.
Yes. So
New York was popping.
I love seeing people go to New York. That's like my second home now. But La's here, and if you're new to the show, I'm pretty sure you probably heard the conversation that we did with Pula, MJ, and La. But just a poet that is just dope in her own right. I think when I don't know if I saw. I remember when I met you, but I don't know if I saw you perform that night. But I remember me, you, and MJ just connected, and we kind of just have been cool. And that was literally like April of 2017. So it's been like almost over a year and a half that, you know, we've just been in each other's circles. So I'm just definitely appreciative to have you back in the studio. And I was telling you, you know, like when we had that conversation, I was like, it was such a dope conversation where we just shared a whole bunch. And I felt like, and I also got a lot of like good feedback from it, where people were just like, "Oh, thank you for sharing X, Y, and Z."
Was crazy
so I'm like, I was telling y'all, like, I want to have more conversations with, you know, Black women, Black men, just having them come together and kind of like sharing their stories or sharing what it is. So, thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Yes, Are you dropping live mixes every Friday?
I'm gonna drop La mixes every week. Okay. So I haven't like chosen like a date, but I've just kind of just been like, you know, trying to see how it goes. Right. But yeah, it's just to keep sharpening my tool. You know what I mean? Like, I say I'm a poet, I'm a writer, so that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah. You know, I'm right. So
that's dope. Yeah. And they're always, you know, dope. They're such a vibe. So you gotta put a mixtape together or something. So
you know what? I'm gonna just tell y'all I am working on a tape. Okay. So now somebody from my last mix that I did with Lauryn Hill's you know, doo-wop, someone had asked me, they were like, hey, if I, you know, get you the beats, will you do a tape for us? We need a tape from you. And I said, yeah, as long as it's how I want it to be. Right. So I'll do a tape. Yeah. But yeah, so I'm starting that, and it should be, you know, dropping sometime next year.
Okay. We'll definitely be looking for that and pushing that. But these are the 4 women that we have in the studio today. And I don't know if you guys have seen any of the posts. I got a lot of feedback on it, but it was basically, let me pull it up before I butcher it. It was basically saying, I didn't even send it to y'all. Black girls don't get to have depression and anxiety. We're told we are emotional, have bad attitudes, rude, and full of complaints. So that's kind of that's kind of the conversation that we're gonna have today. Because you don't even have to really. I didn't have to ask any of them. Like, do you have a story? Do you have a story? Just make sure you have a story ready. It was just one of those things where it was like, we all have a story. We all know that we have a story. And if you don't think that you have a story, then you are probably a part of the problem.
Yes,
and you are a part of your own problem, and not realizing like you're not supposed to be treated like that. Just because society is the way that it is, it doesn't mean that it's okay. So I know there's a lot of things that kind of tie into or lead to depression and anxiety with us. And depression and anxiety aren't the only two negative emotions that we have to mask.
Yeah.
Something that hurts me is like when we can't be sad.
Yeah.
When I think that's something that, like, for me, even, being upset or being furious, those are things where it's just like, okay, that is what it is. But when we truly do go through things and we are legitimately sad or tears are coming out of our eyes and we have to run to the bathroom, and then you have the thing of, oh my gosh, my eyes look like I was crying, and I can't do that, because a lot of times, even when you show emotion, like, I'm very particular about it, because I'm like, if I show you something and you can't give me what I need back, I'm gonna feel even more crushed, because it's like,
I'm gonna need more than a dang. That's crazy.
Right.
You know
more than that, and those
right.
just opening up completely. So anybody can start. Just about like touching on that, like, how does it feel just to be somewhere, to wake up every day? I think we have to start there. Waking up every day and knowing that if you woke up away and something happened, you can't exhibit that. You don't have like the opportunity to just go somewhere, to go to work and have that feeling on you. So anybody can kind of jump in on that.
Why y'all look at me? Y'all know I got something to say. Well, if we are talking about being smart and woke, I think that ties into being emotionally aware and knowing how to deal with your emotions, because if you don't deal with your emotions will deal with you. Right. And I don't know if you guys, I read the word. I don't read it all the time, but I read it. And in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, literally it talks about how there's a time to be angry, how there's a time to be sad, how there's a time to be mad, there's a time for mourning, there's a time for this, there's a time for that. So you got to be out your mind if you think that I'm not about to do what the Lord told me to do, which is to take care of your emotions. He warrants you to have that time to be able to soak, to be able to gather yourself. And that was a request from God. You know what I mean? To be able to take care of your emotions and deal with them so they won't have to spill over into your work life, spill over into your relationships. And so you're very out of touch if you think that showing your emotions makes you weak.
Right.
I have personal experiences with people who don't feel it necessary to cry, don't feel it necessary to be angry because it's not permitted by society, or it's a sin. And let me just tell you something about that. Anger, sadness, and other emotions that you deal with, that's not the sin. The sin comes in with when you do things
what you do
as a result of those emotions. It's a byproduct. Whatever the byproduct is of the emotion, that's when you get a little tricky about what's right and what's wrong. But y'all better cry. Shit, I cry all the time. I cry all the time.
No, for real. Because me and Blacks, like, just to be transparent, me and her, like, we had a rough spot, thing between us when we were going through the play, Waiting to Exhale play, and at one point I was like, I don't really like Blacks, you feel me? Like, and I'm like, I know she feel it, like, because, but like the way that we reconciled, and we're just transparent, like, because our emotions come off as one way. Yeah. And I remember Black saying to me, like, you were going through a lot at the time.
Yeah.
You were going through a lot at the time. And, basically she basically didn't know how to respond to that.
Yeah.
So it kind of, it brings us back to, I'm a person who wears my emotions on my sleeve. Like I can't hide when I'm going through something, and I don't think that it's fair to, you know what I'm saying? So if you're around me, like you might just feel that, and I don't have no shame in it, but it gets like she said, society, like, they place like these
pressures.
These pressures and these stigmas on us, especially as Black women. Like we're like the ultimate code switchers, you know what I'm saying? Like, because everywhere we go, we have to like be a chameleon. Like we have to be what they feel is standard, because honestly, we're a threat. You know what I'm saying? When in our power, when we know our power, you know what I'm saying, and when that it exudes and stuff like that, it makes people uncomfortable, right? Especially when you're tapping into your emotions like that. I feel like we have to hide those on a daily, and it's because of what we think people will think about us, and how the world will view us, or will this validate what they already think? You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it's the best thing to do is you have to find comfort in yourself, and you have to know where these emotions are coming from in order for them to be, in order for you to express them in the way that won't be misinterpreted, Right. And some people, because they don't understand your background, your history, and what you go through on a day-to-day, it's easy for them to just be like, she's just being dramatic.
Right. And a lot of people, they go through, I mean, you have to understand traumas. And this is not off topic completely, but we often say, we are our ancestors. We get the rhythm, we get the cooking and all of that from our ancestors, but we also have to understand what were our ancestors going through, whether it was slavery, whether it's Jim Crow, whether it's segregation, whether it was not being able to sit or go to school in certain places. Absolutely. What traumas were they also going through? And I also flip that when people say like, oh, it's okay to go into white spaces and be completely trusting. If we're so much like our ancestors, they're so much like their ancestors as well.
Yeah.
So who was the one criminalizing? Who was the one attacking us? Yeah. So then when we go in and we think we can be trusting of, or we think we can go in and be like, oh, I'm going to lay my emotions on the table. Well, oh, we think you need to take a break. So we're going to give you X amount of time. But you have to realize they saw us they killed us. They hung us. They put us in fields and had our children working. Yeah. They raped women. Yeah. And you think they're going to going to care, their offspring is going to care about you having a bad day? Yep. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you have to understand that when you talk about like history and stuff. A lot of people just think, oh, well, they're different now. We're not different.
Right.
We're not different. Okay. Our system isn't different. It's no way for them to be different. Yeah. Right. So you have to go on that with the understanding and know it's not F white people. It's just, let's really be woke. Let's really be aware of things. That just, it matters. Mm-hmm. So, T, you look like you have something to say.
I do have something to say. I think that it's not just people outside our race, though. We as black women have to take accountability, because we're quick to judge another black woman.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So knowing that as a black girl growing up, because you learn very quickly that you can't necessarily trust your sister. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, because there's a self-hatred. Yeah. And so you're not congratulating your black sister. Mm-hmm. There's jealousy. Yeah. There's envy. Yep. And so you learn early on that you can't trust your sister. Yeah. Right. So then you put on this facade. No, you don't show your emotions. You can't show weakness. You have to be hard all the time. Mm-hmm. Right. And you grow up and you're like that. It's awesome that you guys have arrived to where you can express yourself so freely. But I think the majority, and I'm not going to say the majority, I think a lot of black women, it's hard to just openly express yourself and to say, this is how I feel, this is what I'm going through, especially after you've done it for so long. Mm-hmm. I'm 41 years old, and I'm usually around.
You look good. Good. Black don't crack. You don't even chisel. Not right.
But I'm around a lot of young people. Yeah. And I think even before being around a lot of young people, I've always been come to T. T gonna take care of it. T gonna take care of it. T gonna take care. And I do. I take care of it. But there hasn't been people in my life who could take care of me when I needed it. I had to take care of it, you know? And I saw my mom live her life like that. I saw her help everybody. And it never crossed my mind until she passed. Like, dang, who was taking care of my mom? Because she was when she passed, it shook me and my brother and sister's world. She passed October 4th, 2014. My mom was the shit. Rode motorcycles, locks. She did the damn thing. But she took care of everyone. Yeah. And it didn't cross my mind until she passed. And it was like, I'm grown, but okay, what do I do?
Right.
How do I do this? What do I,
Yeah.
And then dang, who was helping my mom when she was going through emotion? Because she had pain. Her mother died while we were growing up. Her father died. Her brother, all these different things were occurring to her. But I think I saw my mom cry twice in my whole life. And one of them was because I got in an accident. And another one was because my brother got into an accident. And it wasn't even no strong, real. But that was the only time I saw it. So it starts young. It's not just the white community.
Right.
It starts with us,
Absolutely.
And we create this facade, and you have to hold on. You got to keep it going, because the moment when my mother passed, people, I didn't come to terms to be able to even speak about this until recently. We're in 2018. We about to be 2019, but everyone around me was like, "Oh, you good?"
Right.
It's Tane. That's my name. But we have to start. We can't keep. It's everywhere, but we can't. If we don't fix it, then we're going to keep on being stuck and being put in these situations when you go into the corporate world and not and blowing up. Right. Because we held on to it, because we have to take responsibility for that too. We're holding on,
Right.
and then we explode, and then they looking at us like we crazy.
Right.
Can I just say, because, and not to go back on me and Law's situation, but I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I love that we went through that because I feel like we're in a better space, but not being at liberty to deal with your emotions because of the obligations that you have is such a nasty realization. Because a lot of the reason why I was like, I don't like La is because I was like, how dare she come and have an attitude at her rehearsals? How dare she have an attitude at it? And it's like, when I stepped out of myself, I thought, damn, her cousin just died. She's going through stuff that I, of course, don't know about. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that I knew about. But I was like, she's at work. She's not supposed to have no attitude. And it just had me thinking, like, after the whole situation, like, damn, I really was conditioned to believe that you deal with your emotions at home. Don't bring it to your workplace.
Right.
Don't bring it to this place. Don't bring it to that place. And you are going to live a sad life if you think that you can only express your emotions in the privacy of your own home or the privacy of your own self, or with people who you are close to. That's sad. Yeah. That's real sad.
That's real sad. It definitely is. I don't know how to be anything other than, like, I tap into my emotions real fast. Like she said, my 17-year-old cousin at the time had just been murdered. So, and I'm the oldest grandchild. You know what I'm saying? All of these kids fall under me. So they come in, laying in my lap and calling me when something is going wrong. Because when they, it's sad to say, my aunt, she's on drugs. She has 8 children. But me, at the time, I had the obligation. There's a little girl who's been raped, who's been, all of these type of things. And, like, they're coming to me like, can you get custody of her? You know what I'm saying? And her, I couldn't even tell my little cousin at the time, who I'm seeking custody of, that her brother was just murdered, because she's not in my care, and she's in the foster system, and I gotta leave her to be, like, taken care of by people who don't know her. You know what I'm saying? And to get that, she still doesn't know to this day that her brother has been murdered. You get me? So it was like when I was coming to the show, when I was coming to do that, I trusted you guys in that space because I felt like I would have been cheating y'all if I wasn't real, you know, about what I was going through or not letting that show. Because not only did I want to be I had to be an example too. I couldn't stop what I gave y'all my word that this is what I would produce. So I'm gonna produce it by any means, you know what I'm saying? And I pushed y'all because I knew that y'all could take it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, not take my issues on, but it's like we gon' get through, even despite where I'm lacking. You know what I'm saying? But I had to let that show, and that's what I had realized too, that people, you know, like she said, we have to be accountable. You know, people judge you before they really want, want to tap into, you know, really what's going on, going on with you. And I got that, you know what I'm saying? And there were times like, hey, Lai, you got to get your shit together because you can't do this. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, how unfair is that?
And that's so sad because you could do that.
Right.
You should have been able to be in the space to do that.
So you know, I took that. I thank God for that experience and where we're at right now.
I do too.
You know, so but that's why I said it was a good example to how I felt like, because I had to be a leader, but then at the same time, like and that's just in women. As women, we are the ones who are supposed to keep everything together. Right. You know
keep
what I'm
the
saying?
Shit together.
We're those ones, and it's like that's a lot. That's a lot, especially not just us as sisters, you know, coming at each other. Our men don't back us up. You know what I'm saying? At times. Yeah. And they could do more. Yeah. You know, and we're in this time, this era now where women take on the masculine like traits and the, you know, oh, I gotta be guarded, like, nah, this thing ain't gonna see me cry. Nah, you gon' know what's wrong with me, bro, because you gonna be responsible for how you making me feel. You feel me? So it's those things, and I understand the responsibility and what I am as far as like just being a woman and what comes with that. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, that's why I said, you know, in some of my posts not too long ago, I'm not code switching for nobody.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher. Right. As a black woman, it's so many. I walk in there and they like, in a facility full of white people, oh, like, your hair is like that today. I had somebody tell me, like, you know, another black woman was like, you know, I don't wear braids to work because that's not like professional, you know. Wow. And I was like, bitch, what are you talking about? Like,
if I didn't pay $2 for this shit, you would let me rock my hair.
Not even just that. Who are you to tell me I cannot be me in a space that, first of all, I'm making a difference for our future. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to tell me how I can come in here and tell me that makes me less of a teacher, less able. You know what I'm saying? And I wear those emotions too. Yeah. Like, you know, but I hate that it's really like that. And it's hard. People always say, like, you know, we have to watch out, like, just, you know, the story of the black man is always put in the forefront, and we forget that, you know, as women, like, what we go through. And I be so shocked sometimes to see how women treat each other. And it's like, you know, somebody's always trying to one up the other. And it's like, instead of like checking on your sister, seeing how she was, you know, because we love to give people their flowers when they gone. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I'm not here for that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's why it baffles me to see like another woman put another one down, or if somebody's like, oh, I'm feeling like I want to commit suicide. Oh, she, tripping. It's something wrong.
Crazy.
Well, hey, maybe it is.
Yeah.
Maybe it
Yeah.
is. And maybe you could help.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's like, I wish it was more people who wanted to take that initiative to be the ones not following, suit to what's trending or what's, like what's not so popular. Like, I want to be the one to tell you that it's okay for you to cry on my shoulder, and I'm not going to judge you about it because we all go through the same things to a different degree. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
and
we all have a story.
Right. I think there's the responsibility to, like, also finding stuff. I think a lot of people use social media to receive, like, therapeutic things or to receive some type of, like, guidance. And it's like, okay, not everybody, because somebody recently posted something and it was like, before you come to me laying whatever it is that you have, I understand that I'm your friend and you can, come and talk to me about X, Y, and Z, but make sure I'm in that space. Like, make sure I'm good enough to receive it. Seriously. And I think a lot of times, yes, there are people that I know that rely on me to give them feedback or X, Y, and Z, whatever, but there's sometimes where it's like, yo, I ain't even in the place to sit up here and listen to what you got to say.
Right.
And it's not that I'm removing myself as your friend. It's just like, okay, are we both going to talk about what happened today? Or is it just you? Am I just listening or whatever? Or like, I've even had like, dear friends of mine call me and just be like very low energy when I'm up and I'm like, all right, I'm going to listen because I feel like I have to, but you killing my mood right now. Like, you really killing me right now. And I think that post should definitely circulate. Like, ask me, am I like, yo, I need to talk about X, Y, and Z. You good? Like, is it cool if we, talk about this? It might be a little heavy, whatever. But I'm like, I can definitely attest to that, where there are certain things where it's just like, I'm not ready to hear that. And I think we have the responsibility for ourselves, once we are learning about our emotions and stuff, we have a responsibility to also figure out who are the people that we can talk to, because it's not for everybody. And like I was saying, if I come to you and I haven't really done my test on you to see if you can give me what I need back, I shouldn't be coming to you about something that's heavy just because you're there. That just shouldn't be a thing. So I think we definitely need to just get to a space where it's like, who is it that we can talk to? Who is it that I can rely on? And then there's also, compartments. Like, you might talk about this situation with this person, but you don't need to talk about that situation with this person because that's just too much. So sometimes this person might not even know what's going on over here because there's a certain person that maybe they were there when something was going on, or maybe that's just always who you went to about that. But I do think compartmentalizing your relationships is necessary, from the people that you just say hello to the people that you like, hey, yo, let's, I love you, I miss you, whatever. So I think that's definitely something that we have to take into account. But to Ray, you haven't really spoke, but do you want to tell us just a little bit about your own experiences? Because I know a month or so ago, we had a different conversation regarding like the Dr. Phil thing. So I don't know if you want to touch in on that and like maybe tie it into how it kind of.
No, definitely. I feel like I was sitting here because I'm just looking at all you guys like, damn, like you guys are all in such great places where you guys can really be so transparent and just so like, goodness, just so open about it. And I feel like I'm in that transition of like, damn, like I'm in the place where I'm learning to be okay with my feelings. I'm learning to be like, hey, it's okay for me to feel this way. I'm so used to I was that person that grew up like, you have to be happy all the time, or, you take that on, sorry. You have to be happy all the time. Like, I was that person who like, okay, we walk out this house, we are good. Like, like, I don't know if you guys ever seen like, what is it, Frozen?
Yeah. I hate that movie.
But like, the statement, don't feel,
let it go.
Like, that statement was me. Like, yeah, for the most part. So coming into this and just being in the season that I'm in and just like going through the experiences that I have, I've had to be like, hey, it's okay for me to feel this way. Like, it's okay for me to be upset. I don't really know what me being upset looks like because I've shoved that down so much. Should we get that? I think it's open.
Can you? Yeah, no, it's not open.
Oh, it's not open. But just in the space of just like, hey, like, you know, it's okay to be.
Sorry to bother you. We're moving into Unit 202. Just wondering if you know the combination to that trash bin.
Sorry, guys. Somebody's knocking on the door.
But yeah, so it's so interesting to hear like all you guys say these things, because I feel like you guys have all touched on experiences that I've been through, like where I've seen like another black sister and being like, hey, like we're not going to be friends or something because you're going through all that kind of stuff, and this is the vibe you're pulling off. But I'm also putting off a vibe too.
Right.
And
Like,
that's not fair.
And it's not fair to anybody.
Yeah.
But we're also not asking the questions like, hey, are you okay?
Absolutely.
Like, are you
Right.
going through something? Can I be here for you? Like, you know, you look like you're going through something. Can I sit here and, like, listen to you? Like, you know, and I think we need to just start opening up those avenues for each other because we're all going through it. Like, we're all going through something. And if we just stop, like, you know, just sitting being like, hey, whatever she's going through is what she's going through and it's none of my business.
Right.
There will never be, like, get healing as a community.
Right.
We're not going to keep raising each other up if we're just sitting here like, hey, whatever you're going through is not my business.
Right.
It is your
It
business.
is your business.
This is your sister.
And
Like, you know?
we gotta be sorry. I'm
No,
not
go
gonna
ahead.
but we gotta be open to asking that question to the people who we aren't close to, because a lot of times we only ask that question to people who we already know their story, and we know something's going on. But the stranger, the person that we don't know what's going on with them, and we don't even have like an inkling about what it is that they've been through, we don't consider asking them because it's like, well, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know you, so I don't really care what you're going through. The moment I detect the attitude, I'm just like, oh, I can't be friends with her because but I don't know what's going on with her, and I don't know her. So literally, you could be like walking, and if you have the gift to be able to feel other people's emotions, and I know I have that. I've been able to experience that even as a child. I mean, I could look at you and you don't even have to look sad, but I know that something is wrong. And that's why I was so upset with myself about the whole situation with me and La, because I knew I have the ability. I knew I had the ability to sit and listen. And sometimes people just need to be listened to and be heard. But sometimes we get in ourselves and we just like, we don't want to deal with that. And that's not fair, because when my best friend is going through something, I could just call her and feel it in my spirit. I'll call her and say, Ray, what's going on with you? And she'll just start bawling. Her best friend is da-da-da-da. And it's like, she didn't even tell me, but I knew I felt that for her. And the same way I felt that for her, I feel it for other people too. But if I'm not already cool with them, I'm just like, oh, okay. And that's not fair. It's
We
not
need to
fair because
start
we can't be selective
communicating.
about who we check on.
We have to communicate and be open about communicating with each other, because you'll be surprised how something you say might help me, you know, and just being open about things that we have experienced, especially with young people. If you're open about, I did this, then it's like, oh, I don't have to make that same mistake. But we hide behind certain things. But if we just opened up and really communicated, like you said, if you see somebody and someone gives you an attitude, baby girl, you okay? You all right? How you doing, sis? You know, just queen black. You know, you say stuff, you don't know how you lift that person. That one thing that you acknowledge them and said something and didn't just catch an attitude back. You know, just being mature about it. You do not know how you might have made that person change that person's whole world. You know, just communication. It's really that simple.
And I'm like a firm believer that people are placed in people's lives for a reason.
Absolutely.
And you don't understand how many times, like, it could just be a simple conversation. We just randomly talking, and you've gone through something that I've gone through. And, like, I don't know how to help you. You don't know how to help me, but we're helping each other just by sharing our experiences, just by saying, like, hey, whoa, that happened to you? Like, this is how I'm dealing with this. How are you dealing with this?
There
in
you
that
go.
instant moment, you've already uplifted that person.
Absolutely.
So, and I'm a firm believer that people are placed here for that reason. You just have to talk. You just have to get it out there. Just start speaking about what you're going through, what's happening. So
we have this thing at my job. We the ELA department, we always have we have these weekly meetings, and we were talking about restorative justice at one point, and we were talking about how, you know, like, some of the kids, like, they're really acting out, like, they're at the age where they might come in the classroom cussing you out, throwing stuff, and, you know, but one of the vice principal, he had said something that struck me. He was like, every time a kid acts out, that's an opportunity. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's an opportunity to ask, hey, what's wrong? Mm-hmm. Like, why are you tripping? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And sometimes you gotta really show them, like, hey, despite you acting out, despite whatever, I'm here. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not going. I had a kid come into the classroom, called me all types of bitches, and at first I was like, Lord, like, like, you know, like, give me the strength, because I'm about to snatch this kid. You feel me? And I had to I called his mother. You know, and she was like, hey, whatever's going on, that's your problem. Like, she literally told us that. Like, it's your problem. And so I'm like, how am I going to deal with this little boy calling me bitches and stuff? Like, you know what I'm saying? And then they're in 6th. Some of them are bigger than me, and they already think that I'm, like, young, you know? Because I'm a vibrant teacher. Like, I feed off of being, like, culturally, like, relevant. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever I feel like this community needs, whether you're Black, Hispanic, whatever, like, that's what I'm going to give to you. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, what do I need to do to get him to stop calling me bitches? Because he, like, really, like, disturbing my class. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to tell the little boy I want to fight him. Like, that's where I was at. You know what I'm saying? I really was. And I had to, and I went to I went to my co-teacher, and I was just like, he gonna make me do something to him. Like, he called me a bitch one more time. Yeah. But I literally took him outside of the class one day, and I was like, first of all, I just, like I said, I don't believe in code switching, so I don't put on my white, like, Betty Crocker voice. I don't do that. You know what I'm saying? So I went to him, and I was like, what's up? Like, you're petty. You know what I'm saying? And I said, you're petty. But you have not met petty until, because I could go there with you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I was like, let's make our time much easier. Yeah. And I'm like, tell me what's going on with you that makes you act like this with me. Like, what am I doing that ticks you off? Because I'm thinking that I'm helping, and if I'm not, just tell me. Right. Man, from that day forward, like, that boy, every time he still acts out, but when I'm there, he's like, he checks for, like, confirmation, like, am I fucking up? Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yeah, but I had to realize, like, for his mother to say, hey, that's your problem, I was like,
she's doing that at home too.
Yeah.
That's your problem.
That's it. Yeah. That's what's wrong. So for that, and he might have an issue with women. You know what I'm saying? Because he didn't, you know, do that to the male teachers and, you know, bulk up to them. And I understood that I was new and everything. But I'm like, you know, just like with us, when we act out, that is the opportunity. Like, hey, you need a hand?
Yeah. Come on.
Like, come here.
Exactly.
Like, why are you tripping? You know what I'm saying? Like, because we feel so bad. Like, when people are no longer here and we're not able to discuss these things with them no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, if only I did that. Like, you think you were the key to saving that person's life, you know, now that they passed on. But it's like, why you didn't keep that same energy, you know, when you had the opportunity to do so. And it's like we have to be aware of what those opportunities are. You know what I'm saying? And when it's needed for your input. And it's like, it's so many things happening, especially as older women. Like, I'll be 30 in next year, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm like, as an older woman, especially for my younger girls, I know what it feels like to be smelling yourself. You know what I'm saying? And then I know what it also feels like when you think the whole world crashing down on you and all you ain't got nobody. I always say, if you got the keys, hand them off. You know what I'm saying? Open the door. Open the door, because if I've been there, if I've been there, why would I sit there and let you go through it too? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I feel like it's an obligation. It's an obligation. When I see somebody, like, I don't know if it's just my grandmother always told me, like, your heart is going to be your weakness. And I agree. sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I be mad at myself, like, dang, like but it's so natural, and it's like I'm a lover, and I come off so hard because how we deliver ourselves. People see me on stage, and they're like, oh, that's La Speaks Volumes. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, nah, but you don't know La Shanae. You don't know what I just came out of. You know what I'm saying? And I'm here on stage expressing my truth, but I'm trying to be the person that I'm talking about when I'm doing my poetry. Okay? I'm trying to reach her. That's what I'm trying to do. So it's like you never know. And I'm like, I'll be damned if I see somebody in my face, you going through it, and I don't share myself,
and that goes,
you know?
Right, that goes to grace. And I've been talking about that for the past few shows. It's just like showing the grace that you wish you had, you know, even when it comes to growing up and stuff, showing that grace to others and making sure, like, I don't know if I brought this up when you guys came on the show, but it's something I've been talking about because at the end of the last school year, so basically from like March to June, I was at a school and it was predominantly black women as staff members, as teachers. The principal, well, there wasn't a principal, but the stand-in principal was a black woman. Everybody else was basically a black woman. And then everyone else that wasn't a black woman was basically a black man. And we had like some Hispanic teachers here and there, but majority of everyone was a black woman. And when I first got there, I mean, you know how we are. We are just very different people. You know, we're acquired taste, and it was like, but the best why taste. Is this right? And it was like, why is she looking like that? Why don't she say good morning? Why is she doing that? And you walk into this space every single day, and you're just like, I don't know what's going on. Like, why is this? You know, whatever. And I had to, you know, look at myself, and I'm like, you know, T was talking about, you know, being truthful to who I am. And I'm like, I'm not the easiest person to get along with. And I go, one, a lot of my passion or even aggression comes from seeing black kids go through what they go through, and then going to other schools and seeing other students not even have to worry about half the things, or simply just being given a better education. So when you come into work, for one, you just like, you're doing the work, but you understand that the system that you're trying to impede on is just negative. So I'm like, I come into work like, you know, and it's not like, oh my gosh, I hate coming to work, but that's just what's over me. It's just this, you know, aggression about, I have to come in here and, first of all, like you said, be true to myself, work harder. For one, to get them to understand, yes, I'm an example. And I hope that at some point in time, not that you want to be exactly like Miss Gates, but you see, oh, she's doing something positive and she's young. So I don't have time to go and sit on the block. I don't have time to go and do this because Miss Gates, she's young and she's in here getting a check and caring about us. So it's that thing. And then it's like, if y'all want us to care about these kids or to bring them out of certain situations, I can't do that if I'm not my actual true self. I can't help, you know, little Keisha come out of whatever it is that she's going through, even though we went through the same things. I can't do that if I'm code switching because I'm not my true, genuine self. I have to let her know, like, I went through what you're going through, and look at me now. The attitude that you have, that's a switch in me. I learned how to flip it on and off. I can show you that, but that's not what's always going forward. So I've learned how to be La, or I've learned how to be Jazz in a professional setting, but it's not a switch to the point where I'm Jasmine here, and then I'm Renee over here. No, this is Jasmine Renee Gates here. It's Jasmine Renee Gates here. Absolutely. But I have different, you know, levels. And being in that workspace, I was like, you know, I'm not the easiest person to get along with, and I know that I'm not the most approachable person. So I go, the same thing that I'm probably saying about them is the same thing I know for a fact that they're saying about me. So I'm like, once I realize that, and, you know, once we warm up and we realize, you know, you have that one little conversation, I'm sure you can attest to that being a teacher. Like, you have that one little conversation with a teacher, and maybe, you know, y'all caught each other at lunch, or y'all ended up, you know, seeing each other at the same spot, grabbing lunch or something, and it just opens the door. And, you know, it turned into, before the end of the year, it was just one of those things where they were just, you know, it was a very safe environment to be a part of. And it was just a very, like, warm environment where we, you know, had, and I'm not saying everybody was just all happy and go lucky every day, but we understood, like, oh, you having your day? Okay, cool. And it wasn't a collective conversation. Like, all the black women come sit in, the
Right.
multi-purpose room because we're going to have a conversation. But it was just one of those things. And maybe another black woman that was in there can't attest to how I felt. But I made sure it was just like, let me just internally stop thinking that they have it out for me or they think that it's X, Y, and Z. Yeah. Let me just be like, all right, cool. Good morning. Like, good morning to you. And then it was like, I'm coming in, I'm always wearing black stuff. And they're coming in like, oh, I like what you got on. Oh, okay. Some of them even bought shirts and stuff by the end of the year. Like, were willing to support me. So I'm like, those are environments that I think being in an environment with all black women is going to be tough.
But
you're going to grow from it.
Yeah, but and you have to create the environment that you want. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And we're able to do that. Yeah. Because it's always us who tend to give each other a hard time. Yeah. Right. So it's just like even as a teacher, I was one of 3 black women teachers. You know what I'm saying? And when I first got in there, like, there was this one specific teacher. She never said hi, and I would, and me, I'm like hi, how you doing? I'm like, okay, maybe I'm too much, like let me not. And then I realized, like, I have to still, regardless of how she responds to me, I still have to do my part. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, so when she's open to a conversation, like, it's not like, well, you ain't been talking to me all this time. You know what I'm saying? It ain't never that. I'm like, well, hey, girl. Yeah. Like, how you doing today? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, because despite how you feel or how you're acting towards me, you can't say that you got that from how I'm treating you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's, because I want to create the environment. Like, I control myself, so I also, like, am going to be aware of how I respond to others when they're in that space where they're not able to receive me. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I have to stay, like, true to me, and it's hard. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. It is. It's definitely so hard because sometimes I'll be like, "What's your problem?" Yeah, like, you know, like, and that be the first thing that comes, right. And then I have to check myself, like, girl, you don't know what she going through today. Right. Her man could have probably did something, right. You know, like, you just don't know. So right. It's just like, and you have your days, so it's whatever. You know what I'm saying? But, like, don't ever, like, just turn the shoulder. You know what I'm saying? Right. And it's hard. It definitely is.
And that's the thing. Once, even when I went on my trip, I was like, you see people doing things that you want to do, and then you feel like, oh, because they're traveling, they must have an abundance of happiness and all of this. And I traveled my butt off in 2018, and I realized, like, it's a journey. Absolutely. And I'm like, people could be out here just journey. Going through hell, taking just bomb pictures, and you thinking like, oh, right. They this or whatever. Yeah, right. But I'm like, I was out there, and I'm like, and not that I wasn't happy out there, but I was just like, you have to go back to real life eventually. You have to come back home to where you stay. Yeah, you can't just stay out here all the time. And I'm like, yes, you're responsible for your happiness when you're out the country. You're responsible for your happiness when you're in Compton, California. Yeah. You're responsible wherever it is that you live. So I'm like, what you're saying about it being work, like, I think a lot of us get into this depressed or develop anxiety because we feel like it was supposed to be done in a 1, 2, 3, boom, here it is. Like, oh, you clicking on a computer and it's printed out the printer, and now, I'm healed and I got all of this. Service. Yeah, and I'm like, it's a constant thing. And I was talking about this, 2 shows ago or something, and I was just like, I've dealt with, maybe about 5 years ago, I was dealing with a lot of things that were just very traumatic. And up until maybe about 3 years ago, that's the stint that I was dealing with. So it's about 2.5 years I was dealing with something that was heavy, and I'm like, I pushed through for so long because, I'm Jasmine Gates. Like, ain't nothing stopping me. I was hooping. I was in school. I'm like, yo, this is what I've been working for. I played basketball for about 15 years working to get here, and it was like, I don't care what nobody says, what nobody does to me. I got to where, y'all said I wasn't going to get. So I got there, and I'm like, okay, I've accomplished this. And I've got there, and now that I'm at a place where it's like I'm not going through those things anymore, and now I'm living a life where I'm like, okay, I can really enjoy things. It's like, why are you getting upset every time this happens? Why is every time this happens, this is bringing up feelings? And it's like, because I pushed through for 5 years. You pushed through for 5 years, and you didn't even check to see if you were okay. Now you got 5 years to make up. To think that something is just gonna like push through, or something is just gonna like be made up like a 3D printer, you just gonna have your joy and your peace. Like you're silly to think that. To think that it's just, oh, today, you know, it's an everyday thing. Let me accomplish this, because in a month you might be feeling like crappy the whole month. And then this month might have been beautiful. The summer might have been beautiful, but it's like you have to realize, a lot of us, like what the conversation is about, we've had to mask. We've had to mask in the face of our mothers. We've had to mask in the face of our fathers, our brothers, being an older sibling. That was something where it was like, if something was happening, it was like, I just want to make sure my brothers are good. Like, that's it. As long as they're good, it's cool. Forget what Jasmine is going through, but that's what it was. And I think we've had to mask since we were younger, and we get to this point now, and it's like we're woke, and we're trying to, you know, figure out how to heal. We're trying to figure out how to get to this point. And it's like, okay, so now we're 25, now we're 30, now we're 40-something, now we're 50, coming into this knowledge. And it's like, you just started trying to heal. Don't be down on yourself because you had a bad day.
Exactly. And you know what? I feel like we can't always be the... It's okay to seek help. That's what people forget. You know what I'm saying? Because, like especially in Black families, you don't see enough of us going to therapy. You know what I'm saying? Going to see a psychiatrist and stuff like that, and it's okay. You know, and that's what people need to understand. We don't always have the power to heal ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't have all the answers. So go seek help. Go and you know, I know sometimes it's hard to even like recognize that you going that be the problem. Like being able to recognize and acknowledge that you're depressed or you need some type of help. That's a big step. You know what I'm saying? But when you take that step, you have to know that it's okay to go seek help. You know,
to chime in on that, just because seeking help is very important. I feel like a lot of things we do in the Black community, in our Black families, is like, I'm a Christian too, but like, you know, we always do that as well. Like, we're like, you know, just because you're Christian doesn't mean you don't need to go to therapy.
Talk about it.
Like, you know, you
Talk about
take
it.
yourself to therapy. Go ahead and have your church, but also on Monday or whatever, go seek some help, because you know, God has put these professionals in your life so you can do that. Because there are some things that happen in the Christian community, and I feel like as like people, we just like we blame it on that, or we
because
just, like,
God is not.
happen.
God is not, and I'll be ready to talk about this because there's this perceived idea that God wants you to be head of your emotions and head of yourself. That's not what he told you to do. Okay, we're not supposed to be ignorant. I lost my train of thought. We're not supposed to be ignorant to what it is that we're dealing with. Right. And you can't go around talking about because a lot of in the Black Christian family, we say, oh, I'm depressed, or I'm feeling depressing. Don't claim that. Well, what you mean don't claim it? I'm dealing with it. That's what I'm going through. Like, what you mean? That's the devil. No, it's not, baby. That's what I'm feeling.
Real life.
That's what I'm
feeling.
What do you can't blame. Y'all give the devil too much credit. He walking around here holding everything, talking about I did that, and half the time it's not that. It's not, baby. This has true. This has everything to do with me. This has everything to do with what I'm feeling. And your emotions are not evil. Your sadness is not evil. Your self-loathing and your loneliness is not evil. It's something that we actually go through. So acknowledging it and being able to say, "Hey, I need help. I need it because I don't know what this looks like." We don't sometimes know what depression look like. Sometimes depression don't look like sadness. Sometimes depression look like spending all your money because that's what makes you happy. Right. Sometimes depression looks like eating. because it's gonna make you feel good.
Right. Smoking weed,
Smoking
drinking
weed,
alcohol,
drinking alcohol,
whatever
being
else
sexually
to
promiscuous.
mask it.
Being sexually promiscuous.
Those are all
Let's talk about
signs.
that. But that's another conversation. I got words for that.
Can I say
But
this?
yeah.
Go ahead.
I
T.
believe that God is not a spook God.
Yeah.
So you get in the habit of saying that, well, just pray on it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just pray on it. You'll be
Yeah.
all right. Okay, I prayed. I still feel this way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, you can't give someone just that
Yeah.
if you want to really help them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And especially if we're talking about acknowledging real and true emotions. I'm going through this. God is not a spook God.
Yeah.
Right.
He really is not. You know, you can't pray, I want $1 million and God gonna give it to you.
Right.
You got to put action
He's
behind
not
that.
no magician, child.
Right.
Meet 'em
And
halfway.
yeah.
So action, it requires action. So
Yeah.
if you're feeling this and someone's feeling this, you got to give them some action, something to do.
You got to give him some words.
Yeah.
Really,
it's dead.
God is not a spook God.
And I think even, it says faith without works is dead. So even as you go and you pray, right, and you go and you pray and you sit down, it's the same way. Like if I call T and I'm like, hey, T, can you come pick me up? And that's the prayer. But or can we go meet up? Let's do that. Can we go meet up? And that's the prayer. And I called her and I'm expecting me to just transport there. I didn't get in my car to go meet her.
Yeah.
And we sit over here like, God, can you make this happen? But T's there.
Yeah.
And it's not there. I made the call. I call her back again. Yo, T, can we please meet up? Because I'm waiting. And she's there and I ain't got in my car yet.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of people think it's this universal thing. Like, the universe has what is in store. Okay, yes, there are things, but you have to understand the same way while you waiting, someone is walking. Someone is on a bus. Someone's on a plane to where it is that you're trying to get to. And I think a lot of people, they try to fault people that are in the church, especially when it comes to being pro-black or being conscious about things. And it's like, if something is pulling you out of something, if something is helping you and you understand that it's not just about getting on your knees, because being born and raised in the church, that was something, X, Y, and Z is happening. Let's go pray about it.
Yeah.
Or he's over here doing this. Let's go pray about it. No, if this is happening, how about we can pray, but let's also come up with a plan to figure out how this is going to happen. Right. And I think even for me, one thing that since I was younger, it was always if something didn't happen in my way, it's either okay. And my first thought is not, it wasn't in God's plan. My first thought is, if I asked you for this, you normally give me the things that I asked for, but I clearly did something wrong that made you feel like I couldn't have this. Right. And people, they'll be like, well, no, that's not always what it is. But I go, but that's what has been keeping me for the past 23 years is even when I was younger, it was like, if my parents didn't give me this and I asked God for it, clearly, even if they didn't know what I did, God knew something that I did and it was wrong. And people are like, well, I don't think it works like that. But I'm like, y'all just thinking that God is just giving y'all stuff just because? Right. I'm like, since I was younger, I just knew that if I did something wrong, and it was always if I was asking him for something, all right, I'm going to be cool in this. I'm going to be cool here. Or if I wasn't being taken care of, if I didn't know where things were coming from, or just things were just dropping in my lap, I'm like, all right, cool. I must be on track. But when stuff starts getting rocky, for me, it wasn't, that's just the devil. No, it's me. Yeah. Let me stop what I'm doing. And I've never been I've never been angry or question God, because I always feel like at the end of the day, he's never going to give you anything that you cannot bear. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, to the point where these things will not break you. Yeah. And a lot of times, even now, to help me with my anxiety, it's like, somebody would be like, hey, you're not going to deal with this. And it's like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? Yeah. This is the worst that can happen. I can deal with that. Yeah. So what am I stressing about? Yeah. Even if this does happen, or if so-and-so is taken away or whatever, I can deal with that. Yeah. So anything in between, y'all not about to stress me out. Yeah. Even like talking to my dad, like, me just coming into adulthood and him being like, well, you got to take care of this, you got to take care of that. And him realizing like, okay, well, she does, take care of her stuff. It's like, you want me to worry about things on the first day? I got 60 days. Right. I'm about to chill. Like, and if if it comes to like tickets or stuff, I'm like, the worst that can happen is I got to pay more. I get money. Like, I can do that. I'm not about to stress. Yeah. I'm not about to stress. And stuff gets paid for, or things get handled, but I don't let things stress me out, because it's like, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be like, okay, what now? What's the worst that can happen? Let me know that. Okay, if I don't get this job, or if I don't get this, what's the worst? I'm going to have to go get another job. All right, so let me put in another application in case that don't go through. Yeah. But I'm like, I'm chilling. Yeah. I'm good, because that's what I think we have to realize is like we worry about little things. Well, I won't have this due. I won't have this bill paid, or I won't have this if I don't have a job. And it's like, well, maybe if you took better care of your money before, the anxiety wouldn't come when it is time for you to, you know, when something happens. So it's like you just have to worry about things like that, or maybe don't worry about those things, but realize like nothing is going to break you. And I think when you get that into your head, like, yes, life happens. Life is hard, but nothing is going to completely wipe you out. And I know that there are sicknesses, and I know that there are, you know, just things that happen that are horrible. But at the end of the day, I feel like there's something to be received out of that.
And some people, you know, when we talking about energies, like some people choose to sit in their mess. You know what I'm saying? Like,
talk about
I had to. It's gonna be funny, and mom, I'm sorry. I had to get on my mom. Like, she got mad at me because, like, we're going through a transitioning like phase right now. You know, so we had lost our home like in April. So we had So what ended up happening, like, you know, we ended up like staying with family members, but since then, when my cousin got killed, my mom's been kind of like just everywhere, you know. So now she took off of work for like 6 months, right? So she came to where I'm at to stay there, but she works in San Bernardino, right? So every day that she gets off of work, like, she calls me and she's like, do you have a parking, like, are you at the house, because I want to know if you save a parking spot for me or whatever. So there's days where I'm just not there, right? But the last time she called me about a parking spot, she was like, you know, I hate like going to find parking. I don't want to, you know, get up early in the morning and have to walk. I walk to my car and and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna always be there to save your spot. And I'm like, but if you know that this is something that you have to deal with for now, every day, then why are you stressing about it? Why are you choosing to allow this to be a burden to you? She was like, well, I'm gonna stress. Well, I'm gonna be mad. And I'm like, well, you're gonna deal with that by yourself, okay? Because I can't do it. And I'm like, Mom, if you choose to feel that way, that's on you. I cannot help you no more than you help yourself, you know?
Wow.
So it's just, and like Jazz was saying, like, you know, you also have to check people's temperature to see if they're ready to receive what you're putting on them. And it doesn't matter who they are. You know what I'm saying? Even with my mom, I have to tell, hey, we got boundaries. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not feeling that, I'm going to tell you, because it's not fair to me. Like, I'm a growing woman, and you in your ways, and I'm not trying to take that in. I don't want to be depressed about that. Okay? I'm not gonna be stressing out like, oh, let me get back before my mom gets, you know, so I could save her a parking spot. You walk the block. Walk the block.
Walk
like, not even half the block. It'd be like, it's like you gotta walk to the stop sign. Do that. Okay? Like, it's okay.
And that goes with people. I mean, because that's a big thing. Because I know we talk about masking our emotions, but some people be smooth carrying them emotions and using them as a defense mechanism. A crutch. And I don't know who they think that's hurting, because it's definitely not hurting us. It's only deteriorating your own self worth or your own self image or whatever, and that's not how you are to live your life. But some people really want to be able to use their emotions as a defense mechanism, so they won't have to deal with the real whatever is going on in their life.
Or it's just people don't want to be responsible for what's going on with them. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, like with my mom, you know, like I said, she's been traveling because my cousin, he got murdered in Arizona. So she's been traveling to his court dates because we know who the killer is. He's in jail. You know what I'm saying? But she's traveling to every court date. So she goes from here to Arizona to Vegas, back here. And she's like, oh, I'm tired. No, duh. You gonna be tired. Like, you know what I'm saying? But you are choosing to do that because we know that this boy might not get actually convicted until like a year or two from now. You know what I'm saying? We know how this goes, but if you're choosing to do that, like, you got to take responsibility for, hey, my hair might be falling. Yeah, because you stressed out. So work on that stress or go get help. You know, and I'm quick to I can't help you. Hey, I can tell you want to look up. We could look up places to go together.
Yeah. See, I think that's so important.
You know,
sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
But I think like because I feel like even with my mom, and I feel like a lot of people's moms, like them growing up, they didn't get that. Like you know, they didn't have any of that. And in this generation, the way we are so connected with our feelings, and we're like, you know what, I'm not gonna stress about that. You shouldn't stress about that either. That was never what they had. Like they have to stress about it to make things meet or to make things do. So for them now, this is all they know how to do. And I'm sitting here telling my mom, don't put that on me because, you know, I don't want to deal with that. But she has had to deal with that, like, you know, her entire life or whatever. But I think, like, the power that we have right now for them is helping them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's helping them break those things for themselves. Yeah. Like, the things that I go through right now, like, I'm sitting here telling my mom, like, hey, this is what's happening to me, and this is how I'm dealing with it. She's like, oh, this is what I dealt with. But instead of talking about it, I hid it. Or I like pushed it down. And this is why I react the way I do when it comes to things. So it's like even as we're growing and we're like figuring things out for ourselves, we're helping our people. Like, you know, we're helping them understand, like, you know, you're going through these things and this is how you can do it.
Right. And you heal up. You heal up your line. You heal up your line. So like I said, you know, we are our ancestors. We are what they've carried for a long time. The way that, you know, they reacted to slavery or the way that they reacted to not being able to sit down is the way they react.
Don't get these hands.
But and then I think that's also a thing where, like, you know, because that's been a thing where people have been like, why do we think for some reason that they weren't, you know, active? Why do we think for some reason that they weren't bucking? Like, because if they didn't buck, then we wouldn't be here. And I think that's a lot where we have
the hardest.
Yeah, because I'm like, we have to like realize that they did buck, and we've, you know, carried this tagline, like, you know, we're not our ancestors, we'll beat you up, or, you know, we can't do slavery or whatever. But it's like, they bucked. They had to. I mean, if we are their offspring and we have this within us, and you think we as a black people just 100 years before wasn't bucking, you think that just wasn't in us? Like, they definitely did buck, but, it, you know, you have to think of the
Say
system.
buck again.
Buck.
I love that. Every time she say buck, I want to do
what? But yeah, so I forgot what I was gonna say. But they definitely did. Dang, I forgot what I was gonna say. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you know you kind of you have to heal. You know, up the line, and it's not a healing is not a comfortable thing, and you talk about it. And we talk about it and people think it's such a glorious thing or, you know, whatever. And I'm like, anyone that's actively dealing with healing, like I said, it's a bunch of stuff that we've had to heal that isn't really, we haven't, you know, that's not in our conscious. And even if you can't, that's Keith Good News walking into the studio. Shout out for Keith. But even if you haven't kind of just thought of everything, it's just not, I don't know. It's just, it's not all thought of. So it's just one of those things where you kind of have to, you're healing for things that you probably don't even know about.
Pause. Keith, just because you don't know me don't mean you ain't got to hug me.
Oh, no, no.
Oh, no, it's okay, cool.
First, you know what I'm saying? Then I can get an introduction.
So we talking about masking our emotions and checking on the people that's not close to you.
Know, right?
He didn't even check on me.
Let's win the order.
All right, Keith, good news. You better have some good news.
But yeah, what's up, Keith? You staying for a little bit, or
I might take some pictures.
Take some pictures, some good pictures.
Awesome sauce.
Okay, so if you're just now tuning in, this is the Initiative Radio Show with your girl Jasmine Renee.
If you just now tuning in, you missed it. Go back.
You could definitely go back. You could definitely download the app or click the link, and what we're working on.
In here.
Yeah, and we have Ray Black's tea and La Speaks Volumes is here, but something that La said. And it's ironic that Keith walked in, but I was gonna bring this up about men not backing us. Just kind of wanting to like start a conversation.
They're
on
too
that.
busy playing 2K.
You think
That's
so?
why they
Wait,
can't.
we can't. We're
not going there. Cool. I like
No. We
Okay,
can go
cool.
there. But I think there are black men that do support.
There are.
That are, you know, there. And I think one thing that I've gotten tired of, especially like throwing events and stuff, is like when we have events and almost every woman that's getting up and sharing a piece is like, oh, I'm gonna share an F-boy piece, or I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna talk about, you know, how X, Y, and Z broke my heart, or did this and that and the other. And I'm like,
that's more than.
yeah, like, why is this, when people are coming into space, why is this what we're pushing out?
Yeah.
As far as our men, like, no, not our men aren't always that. Like, yes, there are bad things. There are bad Hispanic men. There are bad, white men. There are bad Asian men.
It's a lot of bad white men.
Yeah.
It's a lot of bad white men. It's a lot
but
of bad white men.
I think sometimes our men need a little more credit. But I do want to tap into why we feel like we aren't being supported by our black men. T. Yeah.
Great. Yes.
T is like,
all right.
It's nighttime.
I definitely love a black man. I definitely support black men.
Yeah.
Easy call, especially if you
Easy
don't
call.
Like, right. I do that.
I like
However, I think that
I like when people say buck.
okay. I think that society, we as black women have had to step up. The men have been taken out of the household, and so much responsibility has been placed on the black woman, you know, raising children, to where now the black women they're out the house, they're in jails, grandmas are raising the children.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that it's created a thought, a way of thinking, a way of looking at black men. Like, we're in this condition, we've been struggling for so long, so there's it's pain, there's anger, but there's pain behind that. Like, why did you leave me? Why am I here by myself? Why am I raising my children by myself? Right. Why I'm the little girl? Why isn't my daddy here? You know? And so you have all these women in pain, and this is what you get. They're bashing. Yeah. They're bashing, and they're angry, and they're not. A lot of them aren't being exposed to awesome black men. Yeah. Just like other people of other races watch TV and you see black men in a negative way, guess what? We're doing it too.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, if you walk down the street right now and you were walking past a white person and you had a white person with a hoodie on and you had your purse on your side, would you grab your purse? No, you're going to keep on walking. If you're walking past a black person, dark-skinned black person with a hoodie on the side, and it's nighttime, are you going to feel a little bit uncomfortable?
Shit, Bob be stealing too.
Bob be stealing too, but the reality of the situation is we've been programmed to respond a certain way to certain things. And so we're looking at our black men funny. Right. So then that's why you have all these women coming into these spaces to where they're bashing. And that's what it is. They're bashing. They're not seeing enough black men being elevated in the media, in the news, period. Yeah. We look at Love and Hip Hop. What are our black men doing? They cheating on everybody. Right. They cheating on everybody, hitting on everybody. Right. We loud and ghetto. So this is what we're seeing on a regular basis. Yeah. It's rare that we see that dope ass black man on TV that's doing the damn thing.
I'll be loving to see him. Or I'll be loving to see him. Like,
looking good.
No, literally, y'all. I went to New York and got my whole life. Okay, because like there was.
It was Tim's everywhere, huh, La?
It was Tim's everywhere. But the specific Tims that I'm talking about, you feel me, is this guy Fahim. I had met
his name strong, sis. Fahim. Say it again.
You stupid. So I had met him in the Bay. He's a New York native though. I had met him in the Bay while doing the YRP tour, and you know, so we kept in contact. And, you know, I went to New York because I wanted a different scenery and I was kind of tired. I've been a little tired. Yeah. So I go out there and this man, you know what I'm saying, like, treats me like royalty. I'm like, where you come from? I'm like, did I have to come to New York to get my my whole life together. No, but then I had to lift him. You know what I'm saying? Like with words just of affirmation and letting him know, like, hey, you are a king. Like you are a wonderful man, and whatever issues that you are going through, know that you are worth just as much happiness and just as much love as you are giving out. And he had responded to me like, I don't know how to take that, like, you know. And I'm like, because we aren't put in front of enough examples, good examples, you know, to be able to give those opportunities. Because I would love to be able to lift our men up with everything, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I want them to be able to also be vulnerable and also be able to, you know, give us those opportunities to do so. Yeah. Because they've also been programmed to be this certain way, you know what I'm saying? And that's all that they're giving out, because they're like, this is what you expect anyways. Yeah. So my thing is now, I always go back to teaching, because they say, you know, higher expectations push, you know, more. I have to tell you, this is what I expect from you, black man, and this is what I need from you, black man, and this is how we are going to help heal each other. You know what I'm saying? And when the expectation is laid out there, I feel like, and you now, when the expectation is laid out there, when you're aware, now you have a choice how you're going to move on that. You know what I'm saying? Are you going to follow suit, or are you going to lead and things like that? Or are you just going to be like, well, you know? And I feel like when our men are provided those opportunities, if they also ask the questions. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? They have to ask us, hey, what do you need from us? There was a post that one of our friends in our community, he was like, black women, what do you need from us? You know, I said this. You asking that question. You asking me what I need, and knowing that I can come to you, you know what I'm saying? Like that helps, but it's a problem for me when they are in spaces where we give them the opportunity. Like, you can see that we're in pain. Right. Something has to change. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean by backing us up. If you see that we are in pain and we don't trust you and think, why confirm those feelings? Right. You know what I'm saying?
Can I say something about what you said about what did you say? You said the men approach us in a certain way because they have been conditioned to believing that is what we want. What we expect. And I want to say that is the truest thing I've ever heard. What if I offered the realization that maybe there are a lot of good black men, but we don't recognize them? Because we ourselves as black women have been conditioned to seeing a certain thing and going, that's what it should look like. It shouldn't look like this. And there are a number of good black men who appreciate us, who love on us, but if he don't step a certain way, if he not aggressive enough, we like, no, that's not the one. If he don't say it like this, no, that's not the one. If he don't do it like this, no, that's not the one. And those be the good ones.
I'm just here to say I want mine.
Those be the good.
I want mine. Like, you ain't even gotta be all that bomb. You feel me?
You ain't gotta be bomb.
You ain't gotta be.
You gotta
bomb.
be educated and thug. Sorry.
You could be a nerd. I don't really care what. I don't want the aggression no more. We have enough of that. You know what I'm saying? And we feel that that we fit that mold too much. Yeah. And it's just like, I get it that's the circumstances, you know, that we are going through. It's like, that's what creates the images and the, you know what I'm saying? I get it, but it's like, you know, knowledge is power. Yeah. Like, when we know ourselves and when we know what's going on around us, like, we have the ability to, you know, turn shit around. Like, and that is what, when it comes to like this depression and, you know, because it's a climate in our community that we don't address, you know, because just as black women, like black men go through depression.
Absolutely.
And that does, and
Absolutely.
it's not, when they are expressing certain things, it's like they feel emasculated and they feel less than, and it's like, baby, it's okay to cry.
Yeah.
It is okay to cry, and you're still a man. You
Cry
know what I'm
for me,
saying?
Daddy.
And I'm like,
I want to see your tears.
it's like, it's okay, and it's, she is a dummy.
No, we warrant that. We want tears. I know I want my man to cry.
You know,
I know I want you to cry.
But it's because I don't want to train our kids that way either. And it's like this is a climate that we haven't addressed, but we know we need to know that it's there, you know, and we need to know these signs and we see, I'm starting to honestly see more now that black women are starting to kind of like, hey sister, how you doing? And it's the men now who don't know how to address each other when they're going through things, you know what I'm saying?
Because I was at the after party, the Compton, the Hub Radio's after party. And I don't know if it's because I have brothers and everybody knows that, like, I'm for a black man 1,000%. I think even sometimes more than I'm for a black woman sometimes. Right. But I've often fought for them, even like just initially coming into like the scene. That's always been my thing, is always let me speak up for them. And not that it's a face that I have to put on. It's just something that I need people to understand, because I need my brothers to grow up in a world or around people that that you know understand what they're going through. And one thing that I do love is just like the greetings and stuff, and that black men have, like, you know, you just see them and it's like a dap and it's a hug, right? Yeah. And it's and I was talking because it was we were with some black men and like basically the whole time, like Keith, and I kept seeing them, you know, whoever they saw, it was just like, whatever. And I'm like, you know, did you know him? He was just like, no, I've seen him around or whatever. But it's like, I feel like, and I was telling him, like, maybe it's, we as black women don't have that. That just initial, like, greeting or whatever. And I was just like, you know, I really love that. And they was just like, what, like, I don't what do you mean you just really love that? And I'm like, the way that you guys just embrace each other based on, like, meeting. And I was just like, I don't know if it's just, like, the nigga in me or whatever that's just like, yo, I just want to, you know, go and, like, you know, have that commune or, like, that fellowship with somebody. And I feel like they, like black men, that, I mean, we know that they will stand with each other regardless of what is going on. But I do think they have somewhat of a better initial connection, I will say.
I've just experienced different things, because it's like I will see, like, my brother, for his 26th birthday, he decided to do a toy drive, you know. So we're in the Fox Hills Mall, and like we were literally like waiting on someone to arrive to the mall to get a free bike, right? So, but there were these 3 dudes, and you know how I read energy, so I saw the dudes. They walked past, you know what I'm saying? They sized my brother and his friends
and
up.
You such a sister, because you looking like, what's good?
I swear I am.
Yeah.
But you know, they sized my brother and his friends up, and they, you know, I saw like they had bags in their hands at first. You know what I'm saying? Whatever they did in whatever time, they had let those bags go, and they came to where me and my brothers and his friends were. And they kept kind of like going in circles, and it made me so uncomfortable, because I saw like they would stop and they like, hey, you know, because my brother hit and his friend, not even knowing, like, these dudes were blued down, so I knew they was Crips, you know what I'm saying? But not even knowing my brother and his friend, they're the same, but my brother and them had on all red though. So I'm like, this is about to get real ugly, you know what I'm saying? And I'm saying, like, and being, it's probably just different like environments that we see these things in, because a lot of the times, because I'm from South Central, and I'm, you know, from the Crenshaw district and stuff, I don't really I see men like, what's up? Like when my brother sees another dude or another dude, he like, what's up? Like, you know me? Like, it's like that, you know, and that shit scares me. And I'm like, we have to, I'm like, y'all got to find a different way, like, to communicate with each other, because it honestly it probably ain't a problem. Yeah. Right. But because y'all, you know, giving these stares and whatever it is, it's like you create the environment. Now it's tension. Now it's like, what's up? Like, I don't care who you are, where you from, what kind of day you had. We beefing. You know what I'm saying? And it's for no reason. Yeah. So when I say like us women, because I don't act a certain way because I know that I have so much to lose. Yeah. Like, and I don't act a certain way because I have my brothers, and, you know, I want to be a representation. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But it's like sometimes our men, they act in a way where it's like it's kind of selfish. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you're
it's
not
only them they have to take into consideration.
You're not thinking about like my brothers and them. Like, my brother, when I'm around now, he'll be like, "Hey, my sister's here. We can't get no no side eyes, no none of that, because she's here and I'm supposed to protect her," type of thing. Yeah. But it's like when it's not that type of environment around, it's like the first thing you want to do is, like I said, they size each other up and then see like, "Hey, can I take him on, or can I, you know, or what does he have that I don't?" What
you got to say?
I wanted to say I'm about to bust. I got to give a shout out to the Hub Radio and our family, our Hub Radio family. Yeah. I don't all the way agree with you when it comes to men having something over us when it comes to greeting each other. What it is, we were able to create an environment. You said environment. We were able to create an environment to where that's what we produce. Because I don't know if you realize we had 4 different hoods there, and some of them were rivals. Yeah. Did you see how they greeted each other? Did you see how they spoke to each other? Was there any problems? Right. We did this the year before. We did it before that.
And that's the block party, right?
That's the block party. Yeah. But the Hub Radio creates, and Dre creates such an energy. Yes. He creates an environment to where this is what we produce. Okay.
This rest of that, when it comes to what your environment, none of that other stuff exists. Like, it doesn't even matter. No, you know,
it doesn't. It doesn't. Whereas, and that's what I think we have to start doing. That's how men, women, and I got a quick point. A nation can rise no higher than its women. Okay, ooh, if we lead, I like that. If we lead by example, we can create those environments to where our men don't do. Just like you said, your brother, your presence changes how they're going to respond. So your presence changes the environment. When I'm around certain dudes, I get the same thing. They know you're not doing that around me. You know, so it changes the environment. You said about asking a man, these are the qualities that I expect. This is what I expect from you. Okay, men who know me, this is what I expect from you. So this is the environment you're going to provide me with, and so I can bring some hoods together. And there's not going to be a problem, because this is what I expect. This is what I demand from you. Yeah, again, a nation can rise no higher than this woman. So we, as women, if we this is what I demand from you.
And that's why it's so important. That's the link, though. I always felt like the link is us women. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? When we lead by example, and it's like, hey, y'all out here doing whatever you're doing, we not rocking with that. No. And we got to show them like, hey, we are not rocking with that. You know, and if we stood together, like that's why I love the movie Chirac. You know, even I thought I love that movie because it was like it was the rival gangs, right?
Was that with Nick Cannon?
Yes.
Oh, I did see that.
They were the rival gangs, and they were killing each other up, but the women stopped giving them vagina.
And
you feel what I'm saying?
It changed everything.
And then they like, if we keep killing each other, we ain't gonna get no pussy. You know what I'm saying? And so, and I'm like, but even though the way that it was presented to me was so like whatever, but I was like, that's real though.
Yeah, like read between the lines.
We are powerful.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It ain't even got nothing to do with, but it's our influence.
Yeah.
You know, and that presence that we carry and the expectation. If this is what I expect from you, and if you don't give me this or whatever, like we're gifts too, and they know that. You know what I'm saying? It's when you're not tapped into that power, that's when you get messed over, and you know, we don't see the product of what we're trying to like create. But it's the link between us women. That's why it's so important when you see your sister down
to embrace.
We have to embrace it because it starts with us. We can't change anything if we're not leading. You know?
We are the closest thing to God.
Absolutely.
We create life.
Absolutely.
We bring life into this world.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I think also to what you were saying, I think when it comes to like even the gang stuff, and what I will say is there definitely is a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
And you know, you kind of, because you know what world you living in, you kind of do have to be on edge. You kind of do have to watch. You kind of do have to show aggression. And it's not that it's okay, but it's if you decided, you signed up for this, you got to know what it takes to survive. So it's one of those things where you have to undo system. And I don't want any men that are listening to this to think that we as women are going to be the stop to the BS that's going on.
Right.
Y'all also have to get that in your head, like this has to take place. So I think even with like the environment with the Hub Radio, that can reflect to like life. If you get to a point where it's like gangs are supposed to protect communities and neighborhoods, not against the community that is next to you. It's supposed to protect community from outside factors. So it's not supposed to be just, oh, this block, that block. But if that is what it is, you just protecting, but you're not fighting across this way. The war is this way. And I think a lot of times we forget that. But I think, you know, I'm not going to, because, you know, when you sign up for something, you got to go full-fledged with that. If you decided to do that, or else you die. They signed up to be a part of a war, and this gang life has changed so much from what it originated as. And when you signed up for it, you have to come up. If you want to come back home, you know that this is what you're doing, so you have to come up with the front, and you have to put that forward until someone is like, this is home, this is central, we're all cool here, just like the event that we had on the weekend. But I think at some point in time, and like I said, I'm advocating for people, is I've been saying this, is not you telling them everything that they're doing is right. You know, there's something that you have to acknowledge. Yes, you are worth me fighting for, but then at the same right, I'm going to also tell you this is and this is wrong. You can't advocate for a murderer and not tell them that you got to stop killing people. You have to, you know, advocating for them. And sometimes advocating for people is not going across. Sometimes advocating, you can advocate for someone. Like I said, if a hood is here and the hood is here, you can advocate for them to be cool without you even talking to people that are on the outside. And I think that's something that we really need to get into our heads, or our men do. But definitely do not think that, you know, like the movie in Chirac, that we about to sit up here, because y'all going through this mess, but it's a good man that ain't killing nobody. And that's on the outside.
Okay. And I want him.
Right. So I'm just like, you know, and my thing, you know, I like, I don't want to say that was going to sound weird, but I
like a little thug in him.
Say it. I mean, no, because I was going to say I like, you know, getting men from where I feel like I've come from, or men that understand.
Well,
I like the way you put that.
I like, because honestly, they say every good girl wants that bad boy.
Why
you know
do
what I'm
good girls?
But you know what it is? Every woman wants to feel protected.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's all that it is.
Yeah.
Because it's not the image, baby. Because I could go without it.
Okay.
Like for real, I could go without being with my brothers and stuff and feeling like something is gonna happen to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but we love that feeling of protection, that security. So it's like that we feel like it comes in that form. You know what I'm saying?
Because if you're protecting this color, protect him. If you're protecting this color, you'll protect me.
So and that, but not even just the
Y'all know
color,
what I mean.
but it's just it's just if you're a dominant man, you know
Alpha.
what I'm saying? If you're an alpha male, we like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what we gravitate to, because a lot of us are in the homes with no fathers. You know what I'm saying? We're losing brothers left and right. So it's like when you have that, that's what you want, and it comes in that. You know, that front. It comes in that. So it's like it's not necessarily we want the thug mentality or whatever. It's that feeling of protection, that security that comes with that.
That's okay. I mean, Gates want the thug though.
No, but and I don't learn though, because I have a boyfriend. He's not a thug, but he is. You know, he's that nigga.
Okay.
But at the end, I mean, I think that's. And even, like, when I talk to him, that's something where it's like, no, you don't. I don't want that. Or not even that, but I don't want, you got to think about things when you're starting to build a family. And even if you're someone that's removed from it, or you're like, you know, I'm trying to do X, Y, and Z, I'm not a part of that life anymore. You still have to think about your family because, well, one, being a black man, and then two, being someone that's a part of X, Y, and Z or whatever. It can be anybody that's just like, oh, well, I knew you from whatever, so let me go ahead and just off you or whatever. Right. And that can always happen. So I think a lot of the times, it's like, yeah, you kind of, the persona, and even the persona hasn't always been like cool to me, or just like the little swagger hasn't always been cool to me, but it's just been, for me, it's been more so someone that can put me in check. Yeah. But I've also grown up with a father who's a pastor who, you know, has took care of our family, who didn't, you know, disrespect my mom at all in front of me, you know. I don't think he really disrespected her like that. You know, I know they've had their arguments back and forth, but I grew up with that, you know, this faith-based man who was very strong in himself and didn't come from, you know, he came from the hood, but he wasn't that person out there. But when he came over here, he knew how to deal with my mother. He knew how to deal with me. He knew how to deal with my brothers. So it's like when I'm looking for somebody, it's just like, you know, I need that, but then I also probably need a little something different because I'm also not my mother. Right. And my mother is a little more like, you know, she a little bougie and a little prissy and like, you know, oh, I want this and whatever, but I'm not that. So, you know, I need a little rougher edge. So I think that's kind of where it was for me, where it was just like, okay, you got to understand my mindset. The way that I think, the way that I'm trying to, you know, move forward in my life. And if you are, you know, waving a flag on the corner, you ain't going to be able to talk to me. You're not going to be able to keep up with me. And that's just what it is. And then, quite frankly, you might be insecure because you're like, oh, I can't keep up with her intellect. And I'm over here waving this flag and I can't do that. So it's like, I had to realize, like, okay, that might not be what it is that you need. So it's just, it's finding a balance. It's finding someone who, you know, who does that. And even someone who can intellectually explain to you what that means and why they are in that. And I think a lot of our older black men are starting to realize, like, okay, it is a protection thing. It's not for me to be, I don't even need a gun at this point. Like, I'm just, you know, I'm here and I'm just protecting, and you putting your younger homies on, you putting little homies on, and you basically telling them, like, yo, we used to do that when we was 15, but we're not doing that anymore, so y'all need to chill. It's just one of those things where, like, you kind of, they're starting to kind of understand, and I think social media has such a beauty a part of it where if someone in Atlanta is getting it, or like the Pyrus in LA are getting it, and they like, you know, let's start putting out positive stuff. Now the Pyrus in Atlanta or in Chicago or whatever, they like, oh, you know, the homies over here, they more on positive stuff. They're traveling. They out here taking their children to go see actual like positive images. And now everybody's kind of connected, where at first it was like, if they over here doing positive stuff, they don't know about it over there, so they still out here killing and stuff. But I think it's connected people, even with black women. We're starting to see people like celebrating, you know, like celebrating black women. And yes, you see like the Love and Hip Hops, the Real Housewives or whatever, but it's like, well, when I get on Instagram, I see love, I see support more. But it's kind of like, okay, yeah, y'all doing whatever you're doing. This is my guilty pleasure, but I know this is not who we are. I'm getting who we are in real time on my, you know, my timeline. My notifications are blowing up because, you know, my girls are telling me like they watch it and they proud or whatever. So I think that's like the beauty in social media, is kind of like showing that, yes, we have positive aspects, and society can't block those out because we press post, we press, you know, send or whatever. So it's like society is not being able to block out social media the way that it's been like with national television. So it's just it's one of those things where it's like there's a negative to it, but there's also a beauty in it when you're able to just see things like across the board.
Absolutely. You know, I just think that we have to, like I said, expectation does go a long way, and it's just that, like, you know, you were saying that if you sign up for it, it is something that you have to do, but they don't have to do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's like, and that's the thing. I'm not going to the mindset, you know what I'm saying, to keep giving them the power to think that you have to keep defending yourself to your fellow brethren, because you guys are going through the same thing, bro. Yeah. Like, and once we get that, just like with us women, you know, that's why I said, like, why see somebody go through something and you know what's up?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So it's like with men, black men, you know each other's experiences.
Yeah.
You have to be accountable for each other's lives too. You know what I'm saying? There are men more dominant than others, and you know, because men go through that jealousy and that you know, that envious thing too.
Yeah.
So it's just, you have to see past the smoke and see that, hey, this is another human being. It's like we become so desensitized, and we start valuing each other less.
Exactly.
And it's like, nah, like you have chosen to take this route because you want it to be this bad boy, but that doesn't mean that just because this is what you have chosen to do, this is now your enemy. You know what I'm saying? You have chosen to have them as your enemy, but you don't have to.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like, when we walk into the mall, y'all, it could have been as simple as, hey, bro, I like what you got on.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I like what you got on. I see you got the new J's. Hey, what's your hookup? You know what I'm saying? Instead of like sizing them up and like, how we gonna take from these niggas? Yeah. Because that's in my spirit. I told my brother, we gotta shake, because those men, they were following us. Yeah. And I felt it, and I was just like, we gotta move. And he said, let's go. Yeah. Like, nobody's getting a free bike today. Not right here. Because we gotta go. Like, and because they saw, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, they might got money on them. Like, and it's coming to a time where some men don't even care about that there's women and children around. No. They don't care, and I saw it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, y'all don't have to act like that.
And that's what we mean when we say, when we want you to be aware of us, of the whole how can we assist you, what can we do better.
Absolutely.
Have some reverence.
Absolutely.
As far as my presence is concerned. Act like I'm here, because a lot of times that's what I think all men, not just black men, we're not just gonna put it on black men, but all men sometimes don't even notice that we're in the room or in the space. And so you carry on with your normal
the respect,
whatever, and so the respect is diminished, and that's not fair, because it's like, I'm here,
right? And
act like it.
And that's the thing, you know. That's why I said it's not just them valuing each other less. It's like they don't even have a sense of responsibility of protecting us. This is an environment that all of us are in, and then you're choosing to make it hostile. You know what I'm saying? You're choosing to put all our lives at risk. Now, if guns fly off, bullets ain't got no names. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, this is something that they have to willingly want to do. Like, I know what you signed up, and some of them just signed up for it because this is what they were lacking elsewhere. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So if this is a sense of you wanted to find family, you want to be with your bros and all of this kind of stuff, like, they totally flipped it around. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, protect we're protecting our brothers. We protecting this gang and stuff like that, but not again, because
not at the expense of our own people.
All of y'all lacking the same shit. Yeah. Like, nobody's out here like really like on some Tony Montana, we living in mansions. Like, nobody's doing that, bro. Like, so what are you really mad at? You know? Seriously. But it's like, we have to be careful of what we're speaking and what we're speaking into our men and the expectations that we have. Like, with my brothers, I tell them all day long, bro, you know not to come with me. My brother don't say no gang, no cuz, no nothing. And I'm the older sister, yes, but he feels like he's my protector for real. And he knows when he gets around me, he like, we can't go there because my sister gonna be riding with us, or you know. And it's an expectation I have of him. He don't hit me up with the, you know, because now the gang members love to do the switching of the letters to represent, you know, whether their bloods or Crips. I'm like, hey, you know, I'm an English teacher, right? Fix your vernacular, bro.
Did you just say Binglish teacher?
Get that together. Right. You know what I'm saying? But it's just when we speak these things, it's like in order. That's another way we lift them up. You know what I'm saying? I see that you're going through this, King. I see. Like, let me show you another way. Right. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and when I show you and you decide, I'm gonna call your ignorant ass out.
And just with you making or prohibiting that use of that's part of himself with you, you got to know that eventually that's going to infiltrate in his regular life when you're not there.
Absolutely.
He's going to remember, oh, well, she said, well, you know, that makes sense why I shouldn't do it with her. Now I just shouldn't do it, period. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's a good job of a big sister.
Yeah, and I think to wrap things up, but because there are a lot of young boys even now today that, you know, I've taught that are opting into that lifestyle because of a void. And I think it speaks to community. Like, we have to do a better job of making them feel wanted and protected on our side. And not even on our side because it's the same side, but just without the negative stigmas. Right. Or even if it is something that they want to get to, I think the big homies, they got to do a better job of letting them know, like, you know, I lost X, Y, and Z. I lost so-and-so all to this. If you gonna be with us, okay, be with us, but we're not doing the negative stuff anymore. Right. I think there has to be an accountability because, pass down wisdom. But I do think there are becoming a lot more that are trying to put a stop to the things that are going on. But then, like you said, there are a lot that are just not. And like even with one of my students, he was shot, and I remember I went to go see him, and I had took him. He got shot, and his stuff was somewhere else or whatever. So when I went to go see him, he was like, can you take me to go get the stuff or whatever? So his big homie was there, and I was just like so irritated because I'm like, why the hell do you have him out here doing X, Y, and Z, and you know that this is what's getting him stuck, and this boy's only 13, and you just got him rocking in his lifestyle, and you ain't trying to help him or do anything. So I think community, we have to do a better job. And even as like an educator, I tell people all the time, like, if that child's parent is dead, if that child's parent is on drugs, if that child's parent is there but it's just not being there, I can't fault that parent for the work that I'm supposed to be doing with this child. I said, I get a check to be with this child from 6 to 8 hours out that day. And if that parent is not there, that has nothing to do with what I'm doing.
Yeah. Right.
So all I have to do is be a good example, and I have to do what I'm doing. But there are a lot of times when they're like, you know, and other educators, they'll be like, well, no, it's not your job to do this and that and the other. And I'm like, my job is to correct. And if I see something that is wrong, regardless of what their parent is telling them, and a lot of times you tell them something, they go home and the parents undo that. But at the same time, when you come back Tuesday, it's still my job to enforce that, regardless if your parent is there or not. So as an educator, I rarely say like, oh, these parents are just wilding, these parents are just tripping, because at the end of the day, I'm a part of Village as well. And I think community has to get that into our heads. We understand that home is not what it's been. Home is not what it used to be. Absolutely. We get that. Even if you have parents that are working and giving you everything that you want, home is not what it used to be. Community has to step in and stop complaining that parents aren't doing their job. That's just what it is. If you want these black lives, these little black babies and these teenagers to continue to live and not be gunned down in the street, we have to take accountability for those that are, you know, in our village. So I think that's just something we have to take into account, is just realizing, like, if that's a thing and that's something that we're hearing, and we know that, like, they're going into these things because they want to feel loved or they want to feel this, and they genuinely do, well, us as a community, we're not making them feel that. So why don't we, you know, like, step it up and just try to make them feel like they are love. Like this is something that you can be a part of. We'll support you. Let's show up when you have a game. When it is something, if he want to rap, go listen to his music. Like to keep this boy off the street. It don't hurt nobody.
Even if it's wet, listen to it anyway,
or tell him.
I feel like that's the grounds for putting together an event, Jasmine. I'm just saying.
It must be on the spotlight.
No, I'm just saying. I'll help you.
Let's do it. I'm always
2019, beginning of the month.
Yes.
Since we plugging, can I plug my event that's coming up in January? So the last Friday in January, I'm putting on. I mean, this is exclusive. First time y'all hearing this. Okay. I'm putting on a monthly open mic for the youth. So it's going to be called Free Blacks Presents Tom, teen open mic, and you have to be 19 and under to be able to perform. And so, because our young people don't have a sanctuary where they can come, and because they can't come to our shows, we start late, we end late.
I love this. Love it.
And La is our first. She doesn't know.
Wait, what?
I literally I was at Walmart and I saw B there. And I was telling her about it, and I was like, "Yeah, La's gonna be my first special guest," and I hadn't even talked to La about it.
I'll do it though.
So we're gonna have the monthly open mic, and we're gonna have special guests each time. By the third month, we're going to have a grand slam, which is basically they're gonna be able to win money in first place, second place, third place, and I'm gonna have a panel of judges. So it'll be me, myself, Free G, my other half of Free Blacks. Get people to come in with throughout the community, the poetry community, to be able to judge the kids and
I love it.
You know what I mean? Because this is something that I know that you talk. I know that you're a super advocate about children in our community, and I am too. And so I was just like, what could we do?
Oh my God, look
that's
at
going
it.
to
that's awesome
to just allow them to not be in the streets. And this is a safe space because me, I ain't got no filter. I want my kids to be able to come, and I'm not telling you don't say this, don't do this, just be free. Do your art. Because I know that's what allowed me to be able to be free. I had an English teacher, I'll never forget her name. Her name was Monique Fordham. It was my English teacher when I was at King Drew. And she literally was like a mom to me, but she was like on me, super hood though, like an English teacher, she's super, but still super hood and still super like, yo, you up in here writing your paper, they papers, and you a writer, go out and be great. Like, why are you not being great? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, she entered me into, never forget, my very first poetry contest was at King Drew. It was my 11th grade year, and she had entered me into it, and she was like, girl, just write a piece and go out there and perform. I'm like, girl, whatever. Wrote the piece, did the piece, won first prize, and to this day, that's like one of my favorite pieces. But it was having someone in the community who saw me, and she was an educator, so it was like I knew her, and it was just like, I need you to walk in your purpose. You can't be like the rest of these kids. And I was like,
that's the thing. We create the space. You know what I'm saying? I love that you're doing that because that's why, me being a teacher, I wanted to start implementing like those type, especially because I'm an English teacher. I want to start implementing those type of things into the schools. I said, I want to get to a place where kids are putting on their own productions. You know what I'm saying? And they and giving them the mentors and the tools to be able to do so. So I love stuff like that. And thank you for volunteering me.
Because you ain't even have no choice. Because I was like, yeah, La's gonna be there, and then I'm probably gonna have somebody else. Like, I need people who are that I know are in it for a good cause, and to know that what they do. Because I say this all the time, poetry is just something I happen to know how to do well, but my ministry is with children, and it has always been. And so I need people around that know that your art form is like a skill. It's a talent that God gave you, but your ministry is sometimes something more than just what it is that you know how to do. La knows how to spit poetry, and she does it well, but that's not just La. You know what I mean? Like, there's something, a purpose and an assignment that God has for her that's broader than just poetry. Poetry is just the way that she's going to probably be able to get the fish. God says that we are ought to be fishers of men. How you use your bait is how you use your bait.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's it.
That's the show. But I want to definitely thank you guys for coming in. If you want to drop your Instagram and say a little something for the people.
All right.
That's fine.
Well, you can follow me at Rays. That's RESRAYS. Just be on the lookout for some things. I got some things coming in 2018. So just positive spirits.
Thank you for coming, Ray.
Thank you for having me. This is amazing. Honestly.
Blacks.
So you know what it is. It's the girl Blacks Genesis on the block. You can follow me at Blacks with an S. Please put the S on my name. This is all inclusive. It's us as a people. People always like to call me Black. Genesis is Blacks. Okay. On the lookout, Tom, which is my youth open mic, and then my second book will be dropping next year. It's called Divine Connections. Be on the lookout for that, and just be on the lookout for me walking in my purpose. And if y'all see me out here acting a fool, hold me accountable. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Blacks.
I am that girl behind the scenes. You can follow me at TENEMS. That girl, and definitely a visionary, and here to put the pieces together to whatever your vision is. I make it happen.
Definitely.
Easy call.
Definitely. Thank you for coming, T.
Yeah, the Hub Radio in the building too.
I know, 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row.
Radio.
Right.
Shout out Hub City Dre.
2 weeks in a row. Hola.
I'm your girl. La speaks volumes.
It's a legend.
You know. You guys be looking out for future productions in 2019. I'm gonna bring back WTE.
I'm in that, guys. I'm in that.
I'm gonna be bringing that back, and be looking out. I have a lot in store for 2019, and I'm so happy, and I'm feeling like God is ready for me to sprint out here. So I'm ready.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's it for the episode. The link will be in my bio shortly, but if you enjoyed it, make sure you give us feedback and share it with people, and I'll shoot you guys the link as well. So I really appreciate you guys coming. I think the takeaway for this week will pretty much just be to, I guess, like Black said, walk in your purpose. And I think we have to understand, like, purpose isn't always career-based. Purpose isn't always like making money. Sometimes walking in your purpose, in order to walk, you have to make sure, like, you're good within. So make sure you're, like, able to. So as the holidays and the year is ending, I'll be back next Saturday. But make sure, just as the year is ending, that you guys are just living in the moment. It's the end of 2018. Realize and accept everything that happened, accept everything that you did, so that you can move on into 2019 with just a fresh air of things. I don't really believe in, like, what are they called? The New Year's resolutions and stuff. If you want to make a change, you're going to make a change today. So, just be grateful. That's one thing I have been saying for the latter part of the year is being grateful. Be grateful for what 2018 brought you. Even if, the end of the year is a hard thing for you, or if you're going through something hard, always be grateful. Because, I don't want to say like someone else is looking at you and is happy, but there were things that you can be grateful for that happened in this year. I know that for a fact. Yeah. So thank you guys again for joining me. We'll definitely have to do this again, but 2019, look out for some stuff, because I'm always cooking something up. So look out for some stuff that we have going with the initiative and all of that. And then also December 30th, we're doing our last homeless drive. So make sure you guys hit us up if it's Cash App, or if you guys want to bring food, or if you want to bring clothes, let me know. We've already been getting a nice amount of donations, so I'm already grateful, but we're just trying to do it big for the last month of the year. But that's it. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys again for coming. No and I will catch you guys for, I think that's the last Saturday of the year, right? Yep. Next Saturday. All right. Bye.
Sorry, bye.